It always means something if you win an inaugural event, especially one of this caliber and of this magnitude.
More money. Money's always good. Cash and checks are a great thing. For sure, that'd be a highlight in anybody's career. I'm sure anybody that wins this event is going to be pretty stoked about that.
It will allow us to look back at the last 7 years of a lot of hard work, late nights, early mornings, and make it all worthwhile.
If I quit fishing after the day I wanted, I'd be a happy man in terms of my fishing career.
Winning's always just, that's what you want. That's what we're shooting for, so you might as well come in last if you're not winning it.
The weather continued to plague many of the anglers on day 2 of the Thousand Islands Open, with strong winds forcing anglers to slow down.
It's a little windier today than it was yesterday, a little harder fishing today, I think. We were all over the lake. It was nasty. Nasty.
It wasn't a struggle for everyone, though. Some anglers were able to adapt to the conditions, and their spots continued to deliver. The overall weights brought in by the top anglers were slightly lower than day 1 totals, despite the fact that many of the top 10 were able to bring in some very big fish. The Johnstons' continued success on the water moved them up to the top spot, weighing in a bag of 24.68 pounds. The Forge and Strub's day on the water wasn't as good.
We lost pretty near every big fish we had on, so it was just one of those days you want to forget about.
With the top 10 teams determined, the weigh-in continued with the emphasis shifted to the remaining 32 as the field for day 3 would be cut in half.
I'd be surprised if we broke 15. I'll be right on the bubble, so we'll see what happens.
I think we're going to be on the bubble too. It's going to be close.
Game over? Died like 2 minutes ago.
Those lucky enough to make it in were then given a chance at winning a brand new Ranger boat. After 24 teams had their chance, Team 51's Key won them the boat. Looking at the standings, Chris and Lynn Johnson lead the pack with 48.88 pounds.
Today is the championship day, so all 40 boats will be taking off at 7 o'clock. All of them will be returning at 3 o'clock, and then we're going to do a reverse order for bagging their fish.
Our first day was pretty tough. We didn't think we'd get in. We had a little bit better day yesterday, and we were able to make the cut. And today you never know if we can get into the top 30 and get a little cash, plus just a great event.
Yesterday we weighed in 21.83, so we're sitting in 7th place right now, pretty good. Don't think we could win it, but 3rd's a potential. Hope we do good today.
Good luck, gentlemen. See you back at 3 o'clock. 4-1, go.
Some teams struggled to get their chance to fish on the final day. Team 38's first 2 days were consistent, and they had no trouble making it into the final day. Paul and Cal Clemson's 2-day total of 39.01 pounds was good, but not good enough to break into the top 10 totals.
The size of that fish. That is a beautiful Lake Ontario St. Lawrence Seaway fish.
There's a couple more with it the same size, so I don't know, we're going to go chase them tomorrow.
so they're back on their spot where they found the giant in hopes of netting more like it. A limit of similar fish would easily put them on top.
Did you see him bite that? Oh, tank with it.
Broke off. What a piss off.
Yeah, big too.
Oh! Right there.
Hey, there's two hooks in it.
Yeah, one of mine.
Over the last 2 days of the tournament, the wind has done a good job at keeping most of the teams from running out to the lake. Teams that pushed through the rough waters and made it to the big water found that there were some big rewards, but they didn't come easy.
We're making a long run out in Lake Ontario. We're burning at least 2 tanks of gas. Yesterday we got in with only 4% left of fuel. Where we're fishing, it's shallow fish, so it won't be too rough. Just coming back and getting out there will be the problem.
Team 2, Bob and Darren Izumi, have a combined 2-day total of 42.84 pounds, and the run out to the lake has given them a 7th place standing going into day 3. Bob knows the lake can continue delivering large numbers of big fish, as they discovered during their pre-fish.
We could have had easily 23, 24 pounds, really easy. We probably landed 21 or 2 just by catching a few to have some fun, right? But believe it or not, we could have caught 100 fish if we wanted, but we didn't. We laid off and left fish. So, but it's going to be different in the tournament. It's going to be windy out there. The conditions are going to change, and I know how that game goes because I've spent a lot of days on Lake Ontario. When the wind blows, you can't even fish some areas, and that probably will happen to us. But we got a few tricks up our sleeve. We should be able to do something.
Gotta risk it for the biscuit.
Bob's vast knowledge of this water was a huge advantage, especially when it comes to dealing with the increased difficulty of bad weather, as he knows when a spot is worth sticking to or when it's time to move.
You know, the St. Lawrence River and Lake Ontario have been so near and dear to my heart because it's been good for like 5 Ranger boats, 1 Chevy truck, and oodles of cash. It's just, I love the area. I don't know, it's just, it plays into my hand. I've never won a tournament here though, in the same spot ever, in 2 different tournaments. It's always been different areas for every tournament in the last probably 25 years of fishing up here.
Live release has actually been a research focus in my lab for a couple of decades now. One of the things that we learned after several years of sampling fish at tournaments was that there were a few areas which were particularly problematic for the fish that we needed to think about changing. One of the biggest dangers for fish at the tournament weigh-in was points where they were not getting enough oxygen. And what the science was telling us is that those fish may be swimming away, but a certain percent of those fish may not survive in the long term. And what we realized was that there were ways that we could actually change the process so that the fish stayed in well-oxygenated water right from the point that they left anglers' boats to the point that they were released from the live release boat. And we came up with a new system for weigh-ins and tournaments, which we now describe as the Shimano Water Weigh-In System, which is really much better for the fish in the long run.
Fab Marchese and Nick Husvis are sitting in 28th place. It's been a tough morning. After 2 hours, they only have one fish.
You won't hit anything far away. You can't get anything on a reaction bait. They absolutely will not even fall in. So then you pull in, and there's like 7 of them just sitting in a circle together. I threw down at 1, got him. It was a 5, and then they disperse, and that's it.
The wind is making it too hard to run between spots, so Nick and Fab are going to have to grind it out here and find a pattern that'll work. Team 36, Justin Maston and Todd Fair find themselves fishing a new spot on day 3. Unfortunately for them, it's not the spot they want to be fishing.
Motor don't work. Got ready to leave this morning, it wouldn't start. We had dead trolling motor batteries yesterday, so we had to start and stop the big motor all day yesterday, so I think that kind of wore the batteries down a bit too much. I think it flooded itself out, so we decided we wouldn't fish largemouth all day instead. It's been decent so far.
They have a limit of largemouth weighing in at about 16 pounds. They've done really well despite having 2 days of mechanical issues.
We're grinding. They're more skittish today than they have been. They weren't coming the last 2 days.
Put the bait like 30, 40 feet in front of them, and they would just turn and go away immediately.
At this point, the boys will have to either move spots or hope that their lucky shorts will turn things around. The Jansens are currently sitting in 21st place. This father and son team are struggling to get a limit today. It doesn't help that they've decided to target largemouth since they didn't bring any largemouth gear with them.
No success here. I'll tell you, this is awkward fishing with this light line and not a big beat stick.
Spinning gear.
Not expect to be in this trouble today.
Craig Lister and Paul Shabbat are fishing their home water, and they've done well here in the past. They're currently in 19th position, but they're not throwing in the towel just yet.
I'm pretty confident that if we have enough time that we can put a puzzle together, but I think ultimately the ability to think super quick and to be able to dial it in on maybe with 1 day of practice is probably something I could improve.
But we always have a chance. We always believe that we've got quality fish. We've caught some big fish in practice, so we had hope. Last night, we realized that we still have some fish out here. We haven't lost very many big fish. I guess the silver lining is that they're still in the water. They haven't performed out, so we should be all right.
We're kind of on a bit of a pattern, so that's a plus side. When you can get on a pattern and do it in different parts of the river, it's things are kind of happening.
The St. Lawrence Seaway is just incredible. It's on fire. So every time you come here, like fishing is a continual opportunity for hope, and I always hope to catch big ones.
Good starter.
One of our biggest strengths is we don't panic. Sometimes we have to wait the fish out. Other teams won't wait the fish out, and they start scrambling, running around, and then all of a sudden it's weigh-in time. You got nothing in the box to show for it.
Bigger than 3.5, 3/8.
Quality fish like this one will ensure these two anglers remain in the top 20 for this event. Another team fishing close by are Kevin Selleck and Travis Raisin. They're pretty fresh faces to the Renegade Series, but they're off to a great start.
We started the season off real well. The first Renegade tournament, we got a win, which I don't want to say we were shocked. We were pretty excited and happy. And it was one of those days where we pre-fished, we had a plan, we stuck to the plan.
And everything just seemed to work.
It worked. I mean, we knew we had a good day going. 20 minutes into the day, we had a 4.5 and a 5.5 in the live well.
Team 11 have 5 fish in the well, but they're fighting from the 17th position, and the fish they have just aren't going to make the grade.
We got probably 16.5 pounds. Really like to see 20 pounds. If we do 20 pounds today, I'm pretty sure we're going to pay for our fishing.
Although their goals might seem modest, there's still hope that the river could deliver.
You know, any cast could be a 7-pounder. You never know. There's so many big fish out here, and usually makes for a pretty fun day of fishing, even when it's a bit of a grind out there.
Filling out their limit with fish like this one is going to ensure these two a top place finish.
That will help.
One of the things that's been attracting both regular anglers and tournament anglers to this area is the fact that the fish are so big. What we've been doing is trying to figure out what is contributing to that, and what we think is going on is actually a couple of things. One is that the water is warming, and so for both largemouth and smallmouth, the fact that they're now having a longer growing season means the fish are getting bigger at a given age. The other really big thing that's happening with smallmouth that we're seeing is that the diet shift to round gobies as a primary focus has actually caused them to gain a lot more weight than smallmouths in any other system that don't have round gobies as a food source. So the shift to a diet of round gobies actually has implications for anglers. The fish are now looking down almost all the time when they're feeding, and so actually bottom contact bait, dragging baits along the bottom, is becoming fast the best way to catch a limit in this kind of a tournament.
With day 3 quickly coming to a close, each team is super focused on every cast, every pitch, and every flip, looking for that last bite to ensure their place in the top 30. The tanks are ready for the fish as the teams bring in their final bags for the tournament. For the last 3 days, these anglers have battled windy conditions, temperamental fish, and mechanical breakdowns, and it all comes down to this final weigh-in. The top 30 teams of the final 42 have a chance at getting a payout. The odds seem good, but some anglers aren't so confident of their time out on the water today.
We struggled, got our 5 fish. That was the main thing, we got our 5 fish, so hopefully we finish in the top 30.
Yeah, you know, we were pretty disappointed really because we expected to be right up there.
12.95. Well, it was a tough day, Nick.
We just went for greenfish all day today, and we ended up with 17 pounds, so we'll have to see how we do.
The race for the number 1 position comes down to teams that have had a consistent performance throughout the last 3 days. There aren't many surprises for the teams that find themselves at the top of the list. The Izumi's come into the final weigh-in in the 7th position, having weighed in 21.01 on day 1 and 21.83 on day 2. A similar weight on day 3 would help push them to the top.
We had a real good day today.
When Bob has a really good day, you want to watch the scales. Let's see what the official weight is. They need 21.11 to take the lead. The official weight is 22.06. Wow. Incredible weight. These are your new leaders for the Thousand Islands Open, the first overall.
Things look good for the Izumis as the following teams failed to bring in numbers that pushed them from the top spot. It was a tough day on the water for even the top teams.
I don't think we had enough for 3 days, so this bag will result because of it. But we put our heads down and actually had to fish for some green ones today, which isn't a bad thing, I guess.
These guys need 18.92 pounds to bump the Izumis. The official weight is 19.22. These are your new leaders. Well done, boys.
With 2 teams left to weigh in, first place wasn't in the bag just yet.
These guys need 17.29 pounds to take the lead. Do you think you got it?
It's going to be close.
It'll be close. Not even close at all. Official weight is 20.48 pounds. Well done, guys. Congratulations.
Finally, it was time for the Johnstons. Would they be able to present another huge bag for day 3?
These guys need 19 pounds to win the tournament, father and son. These guys' official weight is 24.91 pounds. These are your first annual Thousand Island Open champions. And they've got a big fish to add insult to injury to the guy standing on stage to my right. Big fish, 6.07. Not only are they champions, they won big fish of the day as well. Good job.
Congratulations to the Johnstons.
Fishing on the St. Lawrence River, anytime you get a chance to fish on the St. Lawrence River is good. When you can win a tournament with 25 pounds a day, catch that kind of smallmouth bass, it's really good. It makes for a great weekend.
The fishing was unbelievable. We caught a lot of fish every day, and we caught them pretty early too. Most of the days we had our weight by about 11 o'clock. So it wasn't a very stressful event. We caught our fish pretty quick, and then we just cruised back down the St. Lawrence, so we took care of the fish and we can get them back in the water so they can live another day.